Good morning, good evening, good day, good everything. As you all know, my name is Jason Weiss, and we are on the Ask Jason Weiss show. This is our last show that will be live for 2025. So I want to say goodbye to 2025 and welcome in 2026. So what was it? Out with the old and in with the new. Before we get into that, as you know, I'm an attorney, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, I'm everything. But nothing discussed today constitutes legal advice. If you need legal advice, financial advice, mental advice, go speak to a professional because it ain't me. And if you do need my services, you know how to get through to me. But nothing today is attorney-client privilege. So today I am extremely excited to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and with two gentlemen that are near and dear to my heart, Chris Cousins and Luke Keding. Known both these gentlemen a very long time, and I can honestly say that these two guys are top notch in what they're doing. They work together in a company called OneWave AI. I happen to be legal counsel for the company, so there's my plug. But OneWave AI is basically taking all the questions and all of the craziness around AI and making it simple. And that's what AI does. And so in order to simplify AI, I thought it would be great to have these two gentlemen on the show today. So Luke is with us from vacation. So thank you, Luke, for showing up. And Chris is here in South Florida with me. So thank you for showing up, because we know we can never get people in South Florida to show up for anything ever. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna start it up. So, Luke, 30 seconds just so the viewers can hear about, your background other than being, a rocket scientist.
Yeah. So I've spent about 10 years in tech consulting, really working in deep tech over the last 5. So quantum computing, robotics, space, and AI. And then over the last 2 years, everyone has now become so interested in AI. It's taken up all of my time. And it's probably the most exciting thing going in tech. So I think what we're really excited about it is that it's applicable to everybody and anyone, whether you're coming up with a new recipe for dinner or you're trying to increase revenue on your next quarter. So it's
awesome.
Been a fun ride.
Awesome. And Chris, viewers know who you are. You've been on the show before. You are basically the guy that is knocking on doors and pounding the pavement and getting the message out there, person by person and business by business, about, hey, AI is just, it's not only for the big boys, it's for everybody. So yeah, everybody knows who Chris is because he's been on the show. So I'm going to start with Luke and a question that, was asked to me in the comments, where a lot of small business owners hear AI and assume it's only for companies with massive budgets and data science teams and all this stuff. But, what does AI look like for a smaller group, let's say, like of 20 people versus like an enterprise of thousands and thousands of people? And I may have said I'm throwing this to Chris, but I'm throwing this to Luke. So Luke, a lot of small businesses, AI, what do you think? And how can someone like me with a team of 5, even use AI?
Well, the good news is I actually think it's easier for the small teams to really start turning the ship and rowing in the same direction. I think if you're a huge enterprise, there's a lot of policy. You probably have 10 different approval levels before you can roll out something even related to AI. So if you're a small business, it might start with what we hear a lot is ChatGPT. I use it to help write some emails. And then as you get more curious, now it's, hey, can it help me strategize? And hey, can it... She's in. And that kind of just keeps snowballing. So really, when we talk to small businesses, it's let's start simple. Let's start even on, generative AI search and getting the right answers. And then just kind of keep going down that rabbit hole and getting the whole team. And the great thing, if you're a small business, if you start saving 20% of your time, there's plenty of other things you can either work on or shut the laptop and be done for the day. So there's really more returns for small business, in my opinion, than even enterprise level.
Now, can AI help us edit out that dog barking in the background? So I apologize to everybody. That was the puppy her mom just got home, so she's yipping away and doing all of that. So Chris, when you're out there pounding the pavement and telling people about AI, I know a lot of the questions that come is, you're like, oh, I'm working in the AI space. And the businesses are like, well, we want to use AI. But how do you figure out like what they need, how they need it, and what's, what's enough, what's overkill, and what's minimums? Like, how do you know where to start?
Yeah, the loaded question is you fail a lot to figure out the right way to do it. But I think experience, all joking aside, is probably what separates us at OneWave. Is your three co-founders that are experts in different fields that all used AI to continue to level themselves up. We didn't become AI experts by not using the tools and reading people's LinkedIn or Instagram TikToks. We did it by going out there and trying it and fixing the problems that are out there. So when we go to talk with people, most of you know my background, and if not, I spent 5 years at Aldi. Within that time period, they had HR to corporate level, but I was a multi-unit regional manager. So I was HR for over 200 employees, and maintaining those relationships and the culture. You learn a lot about changing and policies and how corporate decisions can affect the everyday users. And once you start thinking like that, it really helps me when I pound the pavement, because when I'm talking to people, I'm not selling, I'm not trying to get something sold across the goal line. I'm trying to get them 5 minutes back in their day. Because I'm a guy that used to drive 6,000 miles a month at Aldi, and I was still working 60 hours a week hitting my goals. And if you could have given me 2 hours back in a week to hit the gym, to do something else, I would have given you hundreds of dollars. And for $19.99, some of them are free tools. You don't have to do it. And that's where we usually try to get our value and what we believe in as a company. We open source and try to show what we're doing to just get people using the tools.
So, Luke, because he threw something out there and it's a technical term, I'm going to turn to you. He said open source. To the non-tech people, aka the old dudes like me. What does open source mean?
In AI, it's becoming really a battle between open source, which means everything is available to understand how these models are trained. And that's includes their weighting, what's going into them, and then you can go ahead and fine tune the model yourself. So you can download it locally and have your own model that's custom to your business or whatever you're working on. And then the other side are what we are seeing from Anthropic or OpenAI or Google, and they're not open source. So we know somewhat of what's going in there in parameters, but we don't actually see the source code. That source code is hidden away, and that's their kind of IP or proprietary information.
So I guess the question is, my wife, for example, right? She uses the free ChatGPT account, and I, because I know people, and I got that. I use like the paid account, right, of either a Perplexity or a ChatGPT. What are the pitfalls? And we're going to start with Luke, and then Chris, you can fill in on this. I know how I feel from a legal point of view. And I know what, I will throw in, but, what's the difference between, let's just say, free ChatGPT and paid ChatGPT?
Yeah. So the biggest difference here, and I think this is important for everyone who's using either personally or professionally, is the free version does allow ChatGPT to train off of your data and your conversations. So if you're not paying, they have access to that data and they're using it. Once you use that paid version, even at $20 a month, now you're protected and you can opt out of that. So in the business world, I don't see a world where you would ever willingly give up your data and your information. If you're just using it for some personal stuff, maybe free is still fine. Just know that your data is out there.
And I'm just going to chime in before Chris does. Just know that if you put that stuff in the free chat, and you put, let's say, your security number, your date of birth, like now you've put it out there. It's in the world, where at least in the paid one, I'm not advocating that you should still put your social security number, your date of birth in there, or scan a document in, but you've got at least one layer of protection. I would not recommend putting any personal information, any identifying information into any of those platforms. You can't go like, oh, I work for a builder and I want to see what the lease looks like or what the sale documents look like. You should not be putting that into the free chat GPT. Definitely not. And probably shouldn't even be putting it into the paid one. Chris, have you, when you're out there speaking with consumers and customers and potential, do you ever get I just use ChatGPT, the free account, that's good enough?
Usually, most people, I would say it's 50-50. They talk about AI or they joke about, ChatGPT, but they've never actually physically searched something or used the tool. And then a lot of people, and it's because OpenAI and Sam Altman did a fantastic job going to market. ChatGPT took a lion's share of what's out there. So most people that I'm speaking to are primarily ChatGPT users, and we don't have to get into the technicalities of every tool that's out there. I think each tool, generally speaking, does about 60 to 70% of what all of them do. And there's some cool bells and whistles on each one of them. I think going back to your question just before, the difference between free and paid, for me, I'm less of a ChatGPT user and I'm an Anthropic fanboy. I like Claude. The subscription for them increases your usage that you can use for it too. So I think just, for $20 a month to protect your data and to get really, I very rarely max out my usage. And if I do, it's right around lunchtime. So I can go walk my dog and eat some lunch and go right back to working. And it's impactful to have tools like that out there.
And Luke, as long as he's talking about what he likes, as he's an Anthropic guy, I'm a Perplexity guy. What kind of guy are you?
I'm a Google
That's a great
guy.
pickup line. So what kind of guy are you?
Yeah, I don't know if saying I'm a Google guy is going to work at the bar, but yeah, I think Google's great. And the other really powerful thing is most people have it free. If your small business uses Gmail, then you have access to a whole bunch of very powerful tools. Right now, arguably the most powerful model is coming from Google, so the most capable. And what I really like about Google is I'm already in their ecosystem, so like I don't need to be connecting. I'm just working on where I already am. So, Team Google for me.
All right. So let's say a company decides to roll out AI with their team, right? They hire OneWave, they do it on their own, whatever it is, right? Hire OneWave. I'd like that better. But what internal guardrails do you think a company needs to have in place, either before they start the rollout, and then once the rollout has started, do you need to add to it, or can you limit those? And I'll throw that as a toss up, whoever wants that question.
I'll take this one because I spend a lot of time on the implementation of AI in businesses, and it is probably the most important thing is to start with a roadmap. If you really want to be impactful and have your company buy in, you need to show them where you're starting, which is those are the guardrails. And probably the first one is no using a personal account, make sure you're using a paid account, and then giving them how-tos and kind of best practices. So if we're going to use Google Gemini, here's how we're going to use chat. Here's how we're going to do multiple things. And then from there, I think you can start to kind of see where your champions take it. So if you're a small business, you might have somebody that's already been using AI tools and just hasn't wanted to tell because they feel like it's cheating. So let them kind of guide it as well. But without having the right policies in place, you do run risks of either falling over because people don't fully buy in and use it, or possibly some data privacy issues, especially if you're working with outside clients or any information you don't want out in the wild. So that would be my first steps. Chris, anything else there, do you think?
I would say just from an operational or, a leadership standpoint, AI is scary because it can do so much. So it's also your team and the relationships you need to balance, and making it really clear that there will be job roles that you were doing that are eliminated. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but it's what you can do extra now and where you can find new value. I think that's really important to focus when you're talking in AI and just nipping it in the bud or just coming front and center with it in your organization, because once people are all on the same goal and there's that roadmap that Luke talked about, you can start tying it to bigger things like your company goals and objectives, helping you actually all swim in the right direction. And once you kind of get all of those motors going, these really cool, impactful things start happening. But it's just like business. You can have one or two of these things, but if you don't have all of them across the board, you can be great, but it's not meaning it's going to work. So it's definitely an art and a science.
And I'm gonna jump in on that a little bit. I also think that AI is a phenomenal tool, right? It is not going to replace it. So if you look at AI as a hammer, right, it's not going to replace the person who's holding the hammer and doing it. But, you know, you could have a 5-pound hammer that's not getting the job done, and AI can be your 10-pound hammer, which is going to get the job done. So what does that mean for us in the legal field, for the legal listeners? That means that use ChatGPT to clean up your email. Use Perplexity to get your language. Use it to enhance your argument. But don't say, I need a case that says A, B, C, D, E, F, G, take that case, plug it into your pleading, and file it with the court. I'm telling you now, do not do that. Find that case on Westlaw. Go on Google Scholar and make sure it's real, because I know for a fact, I have never filed it, but I said to Perplexity, I need a case that says ABC, and it gave me a case, and I'm like, yes. And I put that into Westlaw, and no such case existed. So be very careful to use it. Treat it as an intern for a law school that can do some of the heavy lifting for you and make your life easier. But at the same time, go ahead and double check that work. So what happens when people that work for a company say, I would like to try to implement AI. You know, I want to use it. I use ChatGPT at home. I do that. I do this. We should start using it here in the company. You know, how do you encourage the use of AI, but limit exposure problems and put, you know, guardrails in place? How do you balance that?
Well, I think, and this is going to be an answer that might be confusing to some, but one of the best places to start with AI is to use AI. I think a great way is to go to Perplexity or to Google or to Claude or even ChatGPT and say, hey, give it the context. Here's my business. Help me come up with a plan, come up with a strategy of how we can do this. And I think that's, if you're going to keep it in-house, that's probably your best way, because this might be surprising to you, but AI knows a lot about AI. So it's seen the pitfalls. It understands it. So that might be the best way. But as a lot of people have probably seen, there's a study done, and 95% of AI implementation has fallen over. And a lot of it is because they don't have a plan, and they don't have the person in-house that is an expert in AI, is an expert in implementing new systems. So it's doable. I would say start with AI to kind of actually ground you and figure out your game plan. But if you don't think it's working, reach out to somebody who's kind of an expert, and they can probably get you back up to speed in a month or so.
Chris, anything to add on that one?
I think a way or a metaphor that I like to use, because I'm on the pavement a lot and I'm trying to talk technical and translate it into just everyday insert profile of person I'm speaking to. It's like learning a different language. You know, like if you take entry level Spanish when you're in primary school, you might remember hola, how to count to 10 in Spanish when you're in your 30s or 40s, right? But if you continue to practice it, you're going to get it, but you start thinking differently. You're starting to able to understand things differently. Culturally, you're going to understand phrases in Spanish and like how they're said. But if you don't, you know what I mean? If you maybe know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Spanish, you're not going to get there. It's the same thing with AI. Once you start AIing, you just start thinking and understanding differently. And it's very challenging to be able to really depict that in an appropriate way to people. But once you're able to solve an issue for them, and it really goes into business and business development, is you're taught to be able to solve a pain for someone. Because when you fix something that's painful in someone's life, just your brain instantly goes, okay, let me do more. I like it. You're learning.
And that's how most inventions and most solutions are made. You find something that is problematic and you fix it or you eliminate it. And I do like your terminology, and I'm going to go on the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office, and see if I can get either a copyright or a trademark on AI-ing. I like that. So, but I do want to get into the core of the business of OneWave AI, because we touched on it. But what we're going to do is this: we're going to go ahead and we're going to run a quick 25-second commercial to thank our sponsors for having us here today. And when we get back from the break, we really want to talk about how to implement AI, how you should be using OneWave AI, and how that will help your business and not hurt your pocket. So let's watch our quick commercial, and we'll be right back. We are back, and thank you to our sponsors. As you know, I'm Jason Weiss. This is the Ask Jason Weiss Show. Although I am an attorney, nothing said today is legal advice. We have no attorney-client privilege. Nothing is secret. You haven't retained me. I'm not your lawyer. You can hire me if you want, but today I am not your lawyer. So we are talking about with two gentlemen here today that they have a company. It's called OneWave AI. They have other members, but these are the two that are here today. They are founders, and we're talking about getting AI into your business. And one of the things that Luke was saying before the break, and Chris as well, as that go ahead, start using AI, get AI into it, and then go from there. Well, I found in the legal world, and I can speak to the legal world, that a lot of times businesses will come to me and they'll say, look, Jason, we want to work with you. We don't have an in-house counsel, or we have in-house counsel, but we don't want to spend another full time. So what do we do? And that's when I came up with what I do, which is fractional general counsel work, which is I can come in and we can work on a set budget. We can work on a lower hourly rate. We can work on something so that you can pick up the phone whenever you want and give me a call and not be like, oh my God, that just cost me $50 for leaving a voicemail, or, oh my God, he's going to read the email and it's going to cost me $100. So we don't do that. So Luke, you mentioned that, get your AI team in there, get your people in there. But, look, I'm a small shop. There's 4 of us, right? I can't afford to hire a tech person, right? I can. I mean, he comes in, he fixes my laptops, he does that kind of stuff. But so I want to roll out AI. I wouldn't even know where to start. So tell me about how you envisioned OneWave AI when it first got started, and what it's evolved into today, and what you actually offer to small businesses as well as massive businesses. Because I understand your clientele could be the solo lady all the way up to, the multi-billion-dollar corporation. And how can OneWave support them all?
Oh, the evolution is a fun one. So we've been around about 2 years now. And when we first got started, we were like, okay, we're going to use AI and we're going to create basically software as a service platforms. What we're familiar with now, we're going to really customize it to your business. So if you've been in construction, you've been in real estate, industries where they never really got the tech right. And so a lot of people didn't use it. So that's really where we started. And then as we kept working with people, they actually were like, let's actually step it back. Let's go to phase 1. So now that's really where we start. We see it as like the first step is really like personal productivity. How can we speed up the person on their everyday business tasks? And then as that evolves, there's usually the second level, which is, okay, what can we do business-wide to become more efficient? Whether that's creating data storage systems, or whether that's creating project management platforms, things that they have been looking for a long time. But once they get comfortable with that first stage, which is I'm using AI personally every day to save some time here, save some time there, get better results, then they want to go to the big picture and a lot of these problems we've heard, hey, we've had it for 10 years. We've been trying to solve this and we haven't. Can you help us now kind of become more efficient as an entire business? So it started out as let's build, and then it moved into let's save people time, let's make people more productive, and then we'll move on to the building. So it's been a fun evolution, and it's been great to see businesses flourish from seemingly simple stuff that we've been able to implement.
And at least from what I've seen in some of the projects that we've worked on together, there's really no entry financial barrier to entry into the space, right? It's not like you're talking that you need $50,000 in order to start implementing AI. Yes, if you have a 7,000 employee company, it might run you that, right? But if you're the solo guy, like, I'm not saying you're going to get in for $50 a month or anything like that, but you can get in for something that's not going to break the bank, especially when it's all right. You know what? I have to spend a little bit, but I'm going to get back 2 hours of my day, and then I could bill another 2 hours of my day. So now I made $900 or even $1,000 because I'm billing for 2 hours. It pays for itself, right? If I'm getting back 2 hours a day at $500 a day, the bad math that I'm at, that's what, $5,000 a week. If I could do that, why wouldn't I invest X amount of dollars into something that would make it? Have you gotten from those knocks on the doors? Have you gotten people, saying, and I'm sure you always do, oh, come on, you could do better on that, or, oh, it's too expensive, I can't afford that. I'm sure you don't get that. I'm sure you get more of, oh, I was thinking it was going to be more like this. What could you do on that? What's the feedback you're getting when you're telling people, pricings and plans and all of that?
Yeah, I think that I would say every once in a while we get people that try to negotiate with us, but the way that Gabe, Luke, myself, and just anyone that's associated with OneWave approaches business or just relationships is it is relationship. So we're more invested in the long-term success of that person. And even if they're not the business owner and they're an employee, we still want them to walk away knowing that we're an excellent resource to learn from. So when we give them pricing, I have never given them pricing or I'm sitting there, I'm buying a boat. I'm still working. I'm renting an apartment very happily, but it's not like we're retiring off of these things. We're helping people get set up for success and understanding there's a pivotal shift right now in the economy and in really just the world. We transitioned from a stock market to the internet, to the .com, to SaaS, and now AI is here. And there's systemic changes that are coming along with it, with subject matter experts and thousands of fields that Luke, myself, Jason, people watching have no idea even exist, but they're all going to be impacted by AI. And generally, it's just trying to make sure that we can get them using it. So when it comes to pricing, we have different ways we look at it. We have coaching sessions that we can do. If it's just individual or team sessions, we act as fractional CTOs or technical teams. So if you're really, really good and you have a good profitable business or subset of what you're doing, but you understand we need to start pushing it and you don't need this forever, similar to you, Jason, we'll go ahead and let us come in here and plug it. And it's just going to be probably a monthly retainer for a few months. And then we'll scope out and see, is it a lot of hours or is it an actual big project? Make sure you're happy. Once we get everything agreed upon, we're going to deliver what we do because that's how we're approaching it.
So both of you have now mentioned the term SaaS. For the more novice and the non as is into what is SaaS?
So SaaS is software as a service, and you might not recognize it by the name, but if you've ever paid a subscription or heard per seat pricing, that is SaaS. And that was kind of the old model, was you would pay to get access to a platform, and it wasn't really customized for you, but you could kind of make it work. And that's kind of going away because what we're seeing now is all software. It works better when it's customized for the end user and it's basically built for them. And SaaS is having a really tough time competing because a lot of the platforms that we're introducing people for, they're really cheap. Like I said, Gemini's pretty much free if you're a workspace user. GPT and Claude, it's $20 a month. I think you can get Perplexity free with your credit card for some cases. So there is a way to keep costs down, and SaaS has been expensive. So it's starting to get eaten up by the AI world.
So I think as the AI world is growing, right, I think anywhere from, I don't know, people in their 70s and 80s all the way down to kids in elementary school, everybody knows about AI. Everybody, they might call AI ChatGPT. Oh, I got ChatGPT, because that's like a tissue. So people call tissues Kleenex, where every Kleenex is a tissue, but not every tissue is a Kleenex. So same thing, right? AI, ChatGPT is a type of AI, but not all AI is ChatGPT. So everybody knows about AI. Everybody knows about ChatGPT. Where do you think the government and regulations are coming with that, right? I mean, because right now it's like the wild, wild west. You could do whatever you want. But I have noticed recently in my Perplexity account, when I type in, I need an image or I need something like that, it has given me, due to copyright laws, I cannot give you that image. So we know Perplexity isn't probably doing it on its own. It was probably told you can't. So how do you see government starting to regulate AI in various different ways?
Well, this is, I think, probably a question we could do 40 minutes on, but
I'll give you 2.
It is very complicated. I think so far what we're seeing in the U.S. is from the federal government, and we just saw last week a push to pretty much ban state-by-state regulation on AI. And the reason for that is one state being able to limit growth of an industry that's now, I've seen estimates, roughly 90% of US GDP growth is tied to AI. So it is something where the federal government is trying to keep regulation from happening. And then you're seeing other countries where ChatGPT operates, where Google operates, coming down with some more stringent policies. Just like the same thing happened with social media. So the EU is a big one. So they're probably going to be more stringent. That might shape how AI is shipped over there. We might even have a different version, like some of our social media. And then what I think is going to happen over the next year or two is there's going to be a lot of court cases that they've already started happening where who had access to train the models on billions of books or on billions of images. And so that's going to start shaping it, whether public policy wants it to be shaped that way or not. And then the last thing I'll share, because image generation is becoming so huge because AI is doing it so well. No image that is fully generated by AI can be copyrighted. So as some of these images are coming out in ads and brands, just know that anybody can take that character or that image and do anything to it because it's not copyrightable. So there's, for your legal listeners, it's going to be a very fast and furious couple of years figuring out how to legislate, how to handle this in court. It's going to be fun.
And to all of you artists out there and all of you intellectual property attorneys and all of that, the recommendation is if you create something and you did it and you're on your own, apply for that trademark, apply for that copyright if you want to protect it. And that's the important thing. Chris, do you see or are you hearing anything about people having concerns from a legal perspective about using AI?
Yeah, I think that you're always worried about the accuracy of AI and what it's going to output. And there's certain roles, obviously, that people get paid for that are more and less important for accuracy of information. But at the end of the day, we want to have accurate information. So I think that is something like your insurance industries, your legal, financial industries, huge, less on the writing side of things. But I also think, I'm a guy that spent 2 or 3 years in construction technology, and it's not the residential, at the commercial side. So like airports, shopping centers, and AI is used a lot in the field as well. And it has an infrastructure play. So there's a lot of different legal aspects from that as well that go into a place, that it's just, it is alphabet soup all thrown into a bowl right now. And everyone's trying to figure out what language we're playing, but we know that it needs to be done, because it's very, very vital for what's going to happen. So I think with innovation comes some cautious steps, and I hate to say common sense, but Jason, you said it perfectly earlier. It is a tool. So we still need to be a human race that understands it's a tool and make the best decisions for each other.
I'm thinking the second Terminator, when Skylabs or Sky, whatever it is, takes over and all of that. So look, I mean, there's no denying AI is being used. It's going to continue to be used. It's going to continue to grow. They're probably going to start allowing it, to be used more and more in school. They've got, ways around it. It's going to have to be regulated. And Luke and Chris said it best when it was, how do you learn AI, and what do? You use it, right? You start practicing, you start doing it. You will then get to a point where it's kind of like, all right, I've gone here, and like what Luke was saying, right? Luke and one of the other partners in the business, Gabe, they're creating images. They're creating movies. Gabe showed us this phenomenal thing where it was a wave and it was clouds and it was, behind the scenes. And it took him literally like 4 minutes to do. And I'm sure Gabe's going to say it took him 30 seconds, but it is what it is. But we're all using this tool. And the old line and the old joke that I actually put in my book, More Shit They Never Taught You in Law School, plug, was, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Thank you, Chris. How do you get to become more fluent in AIing, as Chris said? You use it, but you need to use it with set parameters and set regulations. So I'm going to add, we got like 3 or 4 minutes left, and I'm going to go real quick. So Luke, other than someone emailing you, and your email information is below, or finding you on LinkedIn or one of the other platforms, it's like, all right, I listened today. AI is so intriguing. I use ChatGPT personal, but I want to take it to the next level. Number one is, get in touch with Luke and check out, OneWave-AI.com, and get in touch with Chris and all of that. It's Luke at OneWave-AI.com and Chris at OneWave-AI.com. But what's next, right? All right, I use ChatGPT in my personal, and now I want to use something for my business, but I don't know where to go. What's next? So Luke, what would be your first piece or pieces of advice? I think you're on mute, sir.
I was some church gongs in the background, but
better than a puppy barking.
What we really like to start with the problem of what do you feel like you're wasting time on? Sometimes we'll essentially shadow people on day-to-day work and be like, let's see where we can plug in and help. And that's where AI is so interesting, because you can start with the problem, unlike the internet where you had to figure out what you wanted to say and then click through links and sort it out, find the right one, and find somebody you trust and then go with that. We can jump right in and let's start with the problem. Let's fix it. And that's where people get the most value, is some of the stuff that they know they've been wasting time on. They know they're not efficient, but they don't have a better way of doing it. And that's in so many industries. So if you feel, if that rings true to your head, please reach out to us so we can just make your life easier somewhat.
And Chris is the guy that's knocking on the doors and shaking hands and kissing babies. What are you telling businesses? Yeah, I need to get into AI, but I don't know where to start. I guess I should just hire OneWave, and what should I expect?
Yeah, I think if you own a restaurant in Southern Florida and you want someone to come in and eat your food, I'll train you on AI in person. So you let me know and you give me a call and I'll swing by. But I think relationships are back. I'm going to reiterate what Luke said is, half the time that we do work, our first meeting, we're giving them a free AI workflow or free license of something, and we're getting them to use it just to get that time in, because that's the best thing we can do is get them using it. And we know once they start using it, the what ifs will happen. And you can either spend 6 months figuring it out, or you can pay some guys that have already saved time in your life and know what they're doing to get it done quick. So that's where we add value. And I love pepperoni pizza.
So with all of that said, I can't believe we burned through the entire show, last show of 2025. But I'm telling you, everybody who's listening, AI is coming. AI is here. AI is not leaving. And if you want to learn and not get upsold and all of this, and you want to learn and you want to implement it, OneWave AI, that's the way to go. You can Luke at OneWave-AI.com. You can also get Chris at OneWave-AI.com. I want to thank you both for spending your some time with me today. Reach out, check out the website, OneWave-AI.com. And mention you saw Luke or Chris on the show, and they will chat with you, on their dime, on their nickel, at least in the beginning. And at some point that you're gonna have to pay for it, but they'll give you some free tips and some great stuff. Again, I'm Jason Weiss, Ask Jason Weiss Show, the Going Bold Network. Thank you to everybody that's listening. Have a wonderful end of 2025, and we'll see you all in 2026.
Happy holidays.